So, from England, today is an absolutely amazing day. I actually hadn't thought too much about who was going to win. I wasn't I wasn't clinging on to any form of expectation about what was happening. I just knew that God was organizing, manifesting, creating, allowing, watching over the whole drama that's been playing out for the last year or so. But the last couple of days, I felt quite excited and watching the two, Trump and Kamala Harris, and witnessing in front of my eyes so many fascinating things. Somebody asked me today on Facebook about what was it about Trump's policies that you agreed with, and I just thought, oh my God, this is so much bigger than the policies. We have a major issue in the UK with illegal immigrants coming in. We've literally let millions of people into the country. And these people, many of them, are causing havoc. They are taking up all the housing. You can't get a dentist anymore. They've all got the dentist. They get their new phones. They get their new clothes. They get their money. They're coming in illegally. We have young people in the UK who are jobless, homeless, families unable to rent anywhere because the rents are so high. And yet these people are coming in. And I said, as I said a couple of years ago, these are not refugees. My father was a Hungarian refugee in 1956. These people are not leaving war-torn countries. They have taken over the hotels. I walked into one of the hotels they took locally about 2 or 3 years ago, and I said there and then, these are military-age men. These are not families with children. There's a very tiny, tiny percentage of women coming over. It's all young men, and they're coming over on the boats illegally. And one of the things I really loved about Trump, what he actually did and what he achieved, and the way that he is, a little bit like our Boris Johnson. You can't be a normal character and lead the world stage with politics and run the biggest influential country in the Western world. I mean, it doesn't take a normal person to do that with policies. You've got to be so much bigger than that. You've got to be hugely intelligent. You're not going to be everybody's cup of tea for sure. But when I heard all of the policies and all of the plans that President Trump has, he speaks to people like you, like me, who very often, many of us didn't buy into the vaccine. We haven't bought into the mainstream media. We can see the lies and the manipulation that goes on. The fact that he's very good friends with Nigel Farage says quite a lot. We no longer want to follow the road. And okay, you may say there's no difference between left and right, blue or red, they're all wings of the same bird. Well, that's true. But there's also a point where, you can spiritual bypass being here right now. And this is playing out and this is happening. And it's a really fantastic result for those of us who are ready for change, who want change, who are sick to death of this extreme far left activism that's been going on. It's just unbelievable what's been going on the last few years with the whole identity of gender, male, female, boy, girl, changing into whatever they fancy, having these ridiculous subnames, subtitles, what do you call them, pronouns. It's so ridiculous, and it's not to hurt people's feelings. Well, there was a time about, must be 15 years ago, where my son was working with a transvestite on a website, and he said to me, "Mum, please don't call her a him, because it's a her." Of course, what did I do? I went for a meeting to see about my website, and halfway through the meeting, I said him, and I felt so bad about it, and my son went absolutely mad about it and got very precious about it, and I thought, wow, that must be awful for that person. However, we've gone from a few people thinking that they're women or men or being genuinely transvestite, which there's always been transvestites. Some people genuinely feel like they're born in the wrong body. We've gone way beyond that. Who decided that it was going to be teaching children in school, young children, nursery school children, talking with men dressed up as women with boobs, talking about sex and same-sex marriages and sex, having sex, whether it's with a two men or two women or man or woman. It's not for children of that age. What our children have been subjected to is unbelievable. I mean, I have a teacher friend, and he said to me, like, whatever the child wants to identify with, the teacher has to go along with it. I mean, it's absolutely sick. It's ridiculous. And this whole far left ideology of inclusion has just lost the plot. The whole of the mainstream media is living upon a lie. And what I loved about Donald Trump in his final speech, or was it his first speech as president? And he said, we're sick to death of the mainstream media, CNN, and he's naming it, and the mainstream media are frightened because he speaks the truth. He says what he wants to say. He's not being controlled by the elite, and that's the whole point. The globalists are worried right now. And those of us who have been awake for some time can see that. Most people voted for Trump, like they did 4 years ago. And I've had a couple of messages from my clients asking me, can you shed some light on why people I know on my Facebook wall are sort of head in hands that Trump has got in. It's like she said, can you explain to me what it is that they can't see? And what I would say to that is, you can't see what you can't see. Funnily enough, a girl on Facebook had put a picture. Actually, it's a really good analogy. I'll see if I can put the picture up in the comments. But she posted a picture, and it was of 3 people. And she said, squint your eyes and see what you can see. I couldn't see anything. I looked and I looked and I looked. What do you call those pictures? I looked and I looked. I kept looking. I was squinting. I turned it off and on. I went back to it. I was getting a bit frustrated. And all these people going, oh, that's so great. That's great. And I couldn't see it. I just couldn't see it. So I sent it to my sister in messages and I said, can you see what this is? And she says, I can't see what it is. And just earlier, before I came on live just now, I went on my messages to check my messages, and I'd seen she'd responded, I can't see it. And the picture came up and I could see clearly. I couldn't see the 3 women. All I could see was a man's face. I couldn't see the 3 women. You can't see what you can't see until you can see it. And so that's why we can't wake people up. It happens in their own time. Not everybody. When I talk about waking up, there are so many levels of waking up. The first thing you need to do is wake up to the fact that you're not a victim. Wake up to the fact, well, actually, that whole left ideology is about being a victim, actually, isn't it? But the first stage of awakening is to recognise that you're not a victim, that you are a sovereign being and that you have control over you. No one else does. And that's what's changing. That's what's shifting. And that's why people don't like Trump, because he's different. He's powerful. Maybe a bit of a goon at times. He's got a loving family. There is no doubt about the fact that he has a loving family, and he has a very good supportive community around him. And, the whole thing really now for people to wake up is really to sort of turn inwards and go inwards. And some people will be, you'll all know people who just don't want to know. La, 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 la. My sister was talking about a friend of ours. I mean, I don't talk to this person anymore. Not because we have different views, but because sometimes you can love somebody and you're so not resonating with them. You're so on a different timeline that there is really nothing left. Because if you believe everything that you've been told and you continue to believe what you've been told and you're continuing to take your boosters, I mean, I don't know anybody that's vaccinated that is continuing taking boosters, for example. But if anybody is still doing the boosters, if anybody is still watching the mainstream media and believing their governments, you're not really very close to coming into that first level of awakening, to realise that actually, you are sovereign. You are the master of your own kingdom. Because the brainwashing runs very, very, very deep. So for us, whether you want to call the truthers or whatever, known previously as conspiracy theorists, and I know there's a lot of other people that support Trump, but certainly for the large number of people in the UK who voted reform or who want change, it's not like we're seeing Trump as Jesus Christ or the Saviour or anything like that. It's not about that. It's about actually, do you know what? I am here of this earth plane. I am here in a body. I do see what's going on. And we do need this disruptor energy to create change. And anybody who is willing to say that the mainstream media is lying to me, in my world, is a hero. Anybody speaking the truth. And when we talk about truth, or my truth, or their truth, or whatever, there is a resonance, there is a trust in life. And, as Trump said in his opening speech today as president, it wasn't his time when he was shot. He's here for God's work. And sometimes God's work is playing the baddie, and sometimes it's playing the goodie. And for some people, God's work may be just putting them here to play the part of somebody who doesn't wake up, to help somebody else wake up. So it's not about hating people or not liking people, but you can disagree with people and you don't have to vibe with people. And what's so lovely is the resonance of the people who can see, or who are awakening, who are ready to awaken. And for me last night, I asked my spirit guides to come in and support somebody close to me and really felt them. And then first thing this morning, I had this incredible message from this person as absolute proof that me asking for support from another realm was divinely honored and gifted to me, because they needed it, the world needed it. I asked them for support. I've devoted a lot of time and energy and commitment over the last few months to connect more deeply with spirit and connect more deeply to, or more openly to, my psychic abilities. And, when we step towards something, just the law, God's law, means that when we step towards something, miracles start to happen. And I believe that so many people right now on the planet are awakening, are self-realized, or on that path to self-realization, even if it's just realizing and opening, awakening to what, for example, the vaccine was about, and what the, what's actually happening from a different perspective of, believing or buying into your governments are trying to take care of you, and your health system is trying to make you better, whereas in actual fact what your doctors are trained in is medicine, and how we are keeping them very, very, very comfortable with relying on us taking medication, eating toxic food and all the rest of it, in order to get sick. It's so that we can take more medication, and this constant circle of get sick, take medicine, get sick, take medicine, or take antidepressants. And people are no healthier now, than they were before. Sadly, we've got this turbo cancer at the moment, where people are getting cancer very quickly and dying. And it's very sad. It's very, very sad. And many of us, have watched our loved ones, take these poisons into their bodies. And it's been a very, very challenging, painful, difficult journey over the last 4 years. And without that faith, without that trusting in life and trusting in the circle of life, because we are eternal beings. So when you start to sort of live in that place of trusting in life and recognizing that, that truth is a resonance of really being able to go inside and reflect and see that I am an ego, I have a heart, and I have an ego. And when you sort of step beyond that, step out of that into a higher state of consciousness, things start to make sense. And you then start to activate actually your birthright, which is joy, because you start to realize that, this playground of life and all the interactions and all the dramas and all the, all the chapters of our lives are here for us to experience. And sadly, well, not sadly, thank the Lord that Kamala Harris didn't get in. I mean, just look at the celebrities that were backing her. I mean, you've only got to look at the people that were backing her and do a little bit of fishing, a little bit of rabbit hole to find out about those people. And as we know, the whole celebrity status that we've had for so long is falling apart very, very quickly, and is going to continue to fall apart as more and more people are named. P. Diddy was the latest, but a lot is coming out. And a lot of those names, you know, have been tied in with Kamala Harris. And of course, Kamala Harris is just a muppet, you know, she's just part of the machine. And I think, you know, the reason that we're celebrating today all across the world is, many of the truthers are celebrating, is that now, you know, there's gonna be a shift, that Trump wants to stop these illegal immigrants, and that's going to have a direct impact on the British government and this dreadful socialist far left, extreme left, I would call it, and that's going to have a massive impact on the government in this country. Yeah, I mean, what the Labour government's doing, Keir Starmer, is just, it's unbelievable what they're doing. You know, we've got full prisons, and they're letting out prisoners to make room for people who say hurty words on Facebook. I mean, what you're reading, if you're listening to this from any other part of the world, and do let me know, and do give me a like and subscribe to my channel if you like what I share. I don't normally talk politics. I don't have the vocabulary, but I take it all in and I feel it so deeply. So apologies if I'm not quite as articulate with my shares on politics. But I've always had this, I've always from a young child had this very deep knowing that the world and the politics were not being run in a way that was aligned to God. And I feel like today the world, not just America, but the world has taken a shift, and it's been supported by all the light coming into the planet. This has been a shift for humanity. And that might sound big, but, you know, it's these little ships. I mean, when you think of little ships, when you think of a big ship, I believe that when a ship changes course, it's a tiny, tiny shift, like a tiny shift, because then it's going to slowly change. And I do feel like this result with Trump feels like that. And that's why I walked around Sainsbury's today, feeling very mischievous. And I walked around Sainsbury's singing, da 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 da. I literally did that today because I felt like humanity has just taken that little shift, and I'm celebrating. And let me know if you are too. Big love. See you on the next video. Now it goes. Dum dum dum. Where's the sweet potatoes? I've only come in for sweet potatoes. Organic, of course. Do 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 do. £2.60. Don't think I need anything else because I've got the circle tonight. It's a bit bloody empty in here, isn't it? Anyway, it's too empty for entertainment. Bum 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 da 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 da. Okay.